You notice things other people miss. You listen more than you speak, not because you're trying to, but because you can't help it. You see the subtle cues when someone lies. You catch the hesitation before they say, "I'm fine." You watch people perform their personalities like actors who forgot they're on stage. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's the curse of being a deep thinker. You don't just observe the world, you dissect it, and what you find underneath isn't always pretty. Most people think deep thinkers are philosophers sitting around pondering the meaning of life. That's the sanitized version. The truth, deep thinkers are psychological predators, not in a harmful way, but in the way a chess master sees 20 moves ahead while everyone else is still learning how the pieces move. You don't just hear what people say, you hear what they're hiding. You don't just see their smile, you see the mask they built to survive. And you understand something most people never will. Everyone is playing a game. They just don't know they're playing, but you do. Psychologists call this hypervigilance. Your brain is wired to detect patterns, threats, inconsistencies. It's the same neural pathway that kept our ancestors alive. Except now, instead of spotting predators in the wild, you're spotting manipulation in conversation. You're reading power dynamics in a room before anyone says a word. You're calculating who's pretending and who's real. And that makes you dangerous, not because you're cruel, but because you see through the illusion that holds society together. The polite lies, the fake authenticity, the performance of success while drowning in quiet desperation. Most people need those illusions to function. You stopped needing them a long time ago. Here's what nobody tells you about deep thinking. It ruins your ability to connect casually. Small talk becomes unbearable, not because you're arrogant, because you can see the emptiness behind it. When someone asks, "How are you?" you know they don't actually want to know. When they share their highlight reel on social media, you see the pain they're medicating with validation. When they talk about their goals, you hear the fear underneath. You can't do shallow anymore, and that's isolating. Because most of human interaction is shallow. Most relationships are transactional. Most conversations are just people waiting for their turn to talk. But you're different. You're listening to what they're not saying. You're watching their body language contradict their words. You're noticing how they change their personality depending on who's in the room. And you realize something heavy. Most people don't even know themselves. They're just reacting, operating on programming they never questioned. You questioned everything. That's why you think in layers. Surface level is what people show. Second layer is what they're hiding. Third layer is what they're hiding from themselves. And you operate on the fourth layer, understanding why they need to hide it in the first place. This is what researchers call theory of mind on steroids. Most people can perspective take. You perspective hunt. You don't just wonder what someone's thinking. You reverse engineer their entire belief system from a single sentence. You map their insecurities from the way they brag. You identify their childhood wounds from the way they love. It's a superpower, but it comes with a cost. Because when you can see through everyone, you start wondering, can anyone see through you? You become hyper-aware of your own masks. You start managing your image with surgical precision. Not because you're fake, because you understand how easily people misinterpret depth for darkness, how quickly they label analysis as overthinking, how uncomfortable your clarity makes them feel. So you hide. You dumb yourself down. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You nod along to conversations that insult your intelligence. You become a ghost in your own life because the alternative is being misunderstood by people who think they understand you. And that's the loneliest place to be. Deep thinkers are almost always alone. Not physically. You might be surrounded by people. But mentally, you're on an island because your thoughts are too complex to explain without sounding insane. Your observations are too sharp to share without seeming judgmental. Your truth is too heavy for people who are barely holding themselves together. So you carry it silently. You watch the world play pretend, and you become the audience to a show you never auditioned for. But here's where it gets darker. The more you analyze people, the more you realize everyone is manipulatable, not because they're weak, because they're predictable. Fear drives this person. Ego drives that one. Insecurity fuels her. Greed fuels him. And once you see the pattern, you can't ignore it. You start noticing how easy it would be to influence outcomes, how simple it would be to say the exact right thing to get what you want, how effortlessly you could play the game everyone else is playing, except you'd win because you see the board clearly. And that's the temptation every deep thinker faces. Do you use what you know? Some do. They become masters of persuasion. They rise in corporate ladders because they know how to mirror, how to flatter, how to make people feel seen while extracting value. They don't lie. They just understand that people believe what they want to believe. And if you present the truth in the package they're comfortable with, they'll call you brilliant. Others refuse. They see the manipulation and decide they want no part of it. They'd rather be alone than fake. They'd rather struggle than compromise their integrity. They become the ones who walk away from opportunities because the cost feels too high. Not in money, in soul. Both paths are lonely. One is powerful, one is pure. Neither is easy. Here's the part nobody talks about. Deep thinkers often battle nihilism. When you see through everything, meaning becomes slippery. If everyone is performing, is anything real? If all systems are flawed, is there a point? If every relationship has hidden agendas, can love exist? These aren't philosophical questions for you. They're Tuesday. The answer isn't comforting. The answer is, meaning is something you create, not something you find. And that's exhausting, because it means the burden of purpose falls entirely on you. Nobody's coming to save you. No system will fulfill you. No person will complete you. You have to build meaning from scratch in a world that keeps trying to sell you prepackaged answers. But that's also your power. Because once you realize nobody else has the answers either, you're free. Free to create your own code. Free to define success on your terms. Free to build a life that actually matches who you are, not who people think you should be. Deep thinkers who figure this out become unstoppable, not because they're smarter, because they're operating from a different paradigm. They're not chasing validation. They're chasing truth. They're not competing for status. They're building legacy. They're not reacting to the world. They're creating it. And that's when everything changes. You stop trying to fit in. You start building your own table. You stop explaining yourself. You start selecting who's worthy of your depth. You stop feeling guilty for seeing clearly. You start weaponizing your awareness for good. Because here's the final truth. Your ability to see through people isn't a curse. It's a responsibility. You can use it to manipulate, or you can use it to elevate. You can exploit what you know, or you can protect people from those who would. You can become the villain in someone's story, or you can become the mentor who helps them see their own patterns. The choice is yours. But make no mistake, you already have the power. Most people are walking around blind, reacting, defending, pretending. You're awake. And being awake in a sleeping world means you'll always feel different. You'll always feel alone. You'll always feel like you're carrying weight others don't even see. But you were never meant to be like everyone else. You were meant to see through the noise, to cut through the performance, to hold the mirror up to humanity and show them what they're too afraid to see in themselves. That's not easy. That's not comfortable, but it's necessary. So stop apologizing for your depth. Stop dimming your perception to make others comfortable. Stop pretending you don't see what you see. You're a deep thinker. That makes you rare. That makes you powerful. That makes you dangerous in the best possible way. The world doesn't need more people who play the game. It needs people who can see the game for what it is and choose something better. Welcome to the other side of thinking. It's dark here, but at least it's real.